Hi, and welcome to Engineering Essentials AutoCAD Instruction. This episode is going to focus on creating dimensions. The dimension commands are located in two different places. You can see here there's a dimension panel in the Annotate tab. This contains all the commands that you'll need. Or there's an abbreviated version in the Home tab in the Annotation panel. So let's start by creating some dimensions on this figure shown. I'm going to start with the linear dimensions. So I'll go ahead and click on linear and just pick the 2 points that I want to measure between. So here, and there we have a linear dimension. Now if I want to repeat the command, just hit the space bar and then continue picking off your dimensions. So you can see it's very fast, very efficient, and there you go. So I'm going to put the vertical dimensions on now. So over on the side, pick here and here. And there you have it. Alright, so those are the linear dimensions. We can also add diameter dimensions. So I'll go here and pick diameter, pick the circle that I want to dimension, and just place the dimension. There's also radius, so I can come and hit radius. And you can see it's very simple and easy. We also want to put an angular dimension on this figure. So just pick the 2 lines that you want to measure the angle between, pull it out, and click. So you can see very quick, very easy. You'll notice that the dimensions that you see here are kind of odd, maybe something you haven't seen before. The text is not all horizontal, it's parallel with the dimension line. There's no break between the dimension line. So what we want to do is edit the dimension style so that this more closely conforms to the ASME standard. To do that, we will type DDIM. This can also be accessed through the dimension panel. So you can see here is a figure showing how the dimensions are going to look. What we want to do is create a new style. So I'm going to click New. I'm going to start with the ISO 25, which is the current standard that's being used, and then modify that. We want to make sure that the dimensions are annotative, and we'll call this ASME. So we'll continue. And there's several things that you can change. So I'm going to start at the beginning. Nothing really we want to change under the lines, symbols, and arrows. Center mark, we want to turn that off because our center lines take care of that. So we'll take that off. And you'll notice that when I do, the center mark disappears in the figure. Alright, and we want the arc length symbol to be above the dimension. Now to the text, we want the vertical to be centered. So you can see what happened to the dimensions, right? They go in between the dimension line. That's what we want. We want all the text to be aligned horizontally. So now you can see how it changes. The fit, nothing we have to change here. Units, you'll notice that in the ISO standard, a comma is used as a decimal place instead of a period, so we want to change that to a period. The precision, since this is a metric drawing, will be 0. And we want to change nothing else. We're good. Alright, so we just say OK. So this is how we want our dimensions to look. So we'll go OK and say yes, we want to override that. We want to set the ASME style to current and close. So you'll see nothing happen to the dimensions. Well, that's fine. What we need to do is update them to the new style. So you can either type update, or you can go to the Annotate tab, and this command here, it looks like 2 circular arrows, is the update command. We'll just say all. We want to update all the dimensions. And there you go. So this is the style that we want our dimensions to look like, although I see that I missed one. We don't want this line to go through the circle, and we don't need this radius line to go to the center either. So we're going to go back into the style manager, and this time I'm going to use the dimension panel to do that. This little arrow, all we do is click on that, and instead of creating a new one, we want to modify the one we already have created. So we'll go modify, and we want symbols and arrows. Let me see, sometimes I forget where these are. Maybe fit. There we go. So we want to deselect draw dimension line between extension line, and that will take care of it. So we go OK, close, and you can see this looks much better. All right, so that's placing dimensions and adjusting the style. Now I want to redimension this whole thing. Instead of using the specific dimensions, like telling it I want linear, radius, diameter, I'm going to use this new command called dimension, and it's kind of like a smart dimension tool. So I'm going to get rid of all the dimensions that I made and show you how that works. All right, so I'm just going to click on this dimension command. And yes, I want to have this annotative, so go OK. And then just pick the 2 points that I want to go between. You'll notice that the dimension doesn't quite know what I want yet, but if I move my cursor over, you can see it snaps to linear. So you can see it's just about the same, except, you know, when you have 2 points that are not along the same line, you need to make sure that you snap it so that the computer knows that you want a linear dimension like that, or a purely horizontal dimension. So now I will, oh, come on. I want to get that text out of the way so I can grab my point. Maybe I'll just pan it up. There we go. And you can see the same for the vertical dimensions. You just have to make sure you snap to the vertical before you place your dimension. So it's not, in my opinion, it's not ideal yet, but I think this command is a nice one, and I think there'll be improvements in it as AutoCAD has different versions. I think the other way is faster because you don't have to snap, but this way I think eventually will take over. All right, so now I'm going to do the, let's do the angular one. So I'll click on this line and this line. You can see it automatically detects that I want to do an angular one. And let's see if we can do the radius. Now what I've noticed is that when you do diameters and radius in this command, it does not like you to have the snap on, or the O snap. So I'm going to go here and click that off. Now with the O snap off, it goes ahead and recognizes that I want a radius. The same with the diameter. So it's nice because the command always remains active and you don't have to tell it specifically what kind of dimension you want. So, you know, you can choose whichever method that you like. So I hope this episode was helpful, and I'll see you in the next one.